before we go to the college campus and before you meet your friends and the other college students, we have to make one stop. And that stop was, he said, we have to stop at the barber shop because you have your turban and beard and you're in America now. And in America, you want to make sure that you fit in with the rest of the Americans. So we have to stop there. My father was confused. He learned about America as a place where you can practice your religion freely, you can be who you are, you can choose not to be who you are, or you can choose to try to be who you are, but you can be who you want to be, and also still be a successful student or a successful professional. But he was being asked to make a choice. He was being asked to choose between his sikhi and his profession or his academics. That, I submit to you, is a false choice. It's a false choice. I am blessed that my father knew that in 1966. He thought he did not have to make that choice, and he chose to keep his faith, keep his articles of faith, keep his dastar, and study in his PhD degree in physics. And he went on to open a small business and be an entrepreneur and live the American dream with his articles of faith intact. But it's that choice. It's that choice on a cold winter night in 1966 that had he not made that choice, I would not be standing here in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2024 before you here today running for U.S. Congress. So these choices matter. What we do matter, what we do matters. The messages we send to our children, the next generation, they matter because our children will follow our example. So I was raised with Sikhi in my heart and my mind, and I was raised proud to be a Sikh. In the New Jersey public schools, we were subjected to bullying because of who we are. We look different. I'm sure that might be a problem for some of the Sikh youth even today, unfortunately. But my mother taught me to be proud and to not tolerate any injustice, especially if it's based upon who you are as a Sikh. So that gave me a very strong and solid grounding as a young adult to study and be whoever I wanted to be. And that can be anything. You know, I have two kids. My daughter is 16 and my son is 12. I want them to be who they want to be. My father wanted me to be a doctor. I became a lawyer. But my father wanted me to be a doctor. But no matter what my son and daughter want to be, whether it's in the sciences, engineering, medicine, law, architecture, music, dance, art, we want to encourage them to be who they want to be, and their Sikhi will be a guiding source of strength for them in their life journey, not just their career journey, but also their life journey. I chose to become an attorney, and also then there were not many attorneys. This was around the year 1999, and people said, "Who is going to hire you with a turban and beard?" But I can say 20 years later, as a trial attorney, going before countless juries with my faith intact, I was able to become a successful attorney. And that's around the time I landed in Hoboken, New Jersey. I currently serve in Hoboken as the mayor there. But I came to Hoboken as a 25-year-old bachelor, right out of law school. And with time, I I started looking at what's happening in my community. When I say my community, I don't mean necessarily the Sikh Sangat, but the community within my town or my city, which was Hoboken. And I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw. The government was very mismanaged. The mayor at the time had actually overspent the budget by $12 million. Taxes rose, the municipal or city taxes had risen by 60% in 1 year alone. And people were upset. People wanted change. And there's a saying that we have two choices in life. We can either curse the darkness and complain, or we can light a candle and do something. And I think that's what that Shabad that we just listened to was all about. That we live in the age of Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, and don't get lost in doubt and delusion. Plant a seed of Nam. Plant a seed of the Guru. I think that was what the Shabad that we just listened to was, and that really resonated with me, because these are the choices we have in life, to curse the darkness or to light a candle, and I think that's what the Shabad taught us. And that's what drove me to get into elected office, to decide that I want to do something to change what I see that is wrong in my society, in my immediate community. So I decided to run for public office. But there were not many Sikhs who were public officials or elected officials at the time. I was only running for a small office in 2009 for city councilman. I don't know if anybody knows what a city councilman is, but it's within the city they have members of the town council or city council. Hoboken is not a very diverse city, I'll admit that. We're making progress, but back in 2009, when I told people I wanted to run for elected office and I was a Sikh, the political experts told me, how many Sikhs live in Hoboken? And I said 4. They said 4%? I said, no, 4. My brother, my wife, and his wife and me. They said, okay, well, how many Indians are in Hoboken? How many Asians? And I said, there are a few dozen, maybe 50, 60. Now, Hoboken, as you might know, is the home where Frank Sinatra was born. There are a lot of things to be proud of. It's the home of immigrants, but it's largely an Italian community, a very, very strong, robust Italian community. And people said to me, look, you're not Italian, you're not Irish, you're not Latino, you're not from a union, you're not a senior, so who's going to vote for you? One person said to me, you know, you wear a turban and beard, and that will not go unnoticed in the election. He didn't mean that as a compliment. He meant to say that being a Sikh was going to hold me back. That there was a conflict between being a Sikh and being an American. That same conflict that my father faced in 1966 when he first came to this country and was told that you can't be both a Sikh and a successful American. And I wondered, can I be both a Sikh and run for office and be successful? And honestly, I did not know the answer. But what I did was I channeled what our gurus taught us. Nam japna, have faith. Kirat karna, work hard, work honestly. Varth japna, share with others. See the connection between your success and society's success. Give to others, be charitable. And we worked hard. Everybody in this summit is probably successful in their own right. And it wasn't given to you, on a silver platter. You weren't born and on third base and thought you hit a triple, is what they say. You had to work for what you have. You had to fight for what you had, and you had to do it with your hands. And that's what we did in that election. woke up at 6 o'clock every morning at the bus stops, at the train stations, at the ferry terminals, knocking on every single door we could, speaking to every single person I possibly could, and getting my message across. Not as the sick candidate, but just as a candidate who happened to be a sick, right? And getting your point across not on sick issues or Indian issues, but issues that people care about. Stabilizing our tax base. When I ran for office, we were at junk bond status where we couldn't borrow money because our finances were so mismanaged. I'm proud to say that now we're AA+ by Standard & Poor's, one of the highest credit ratings for any municipality. We've stabilized our finances. But running on those issues and proving that you're the most qualified candidate and being able to persuade your brothers and sisters in your community that you're the best candidate on the merits, the most qualified to serve the public. So with that election, amongst 12 people running for one office, with candidates who were drawn from Italian votes, from Irish votes, from Puerto Rican votes, you name it, I was the highest vote getter as a first-time candidate. And that I submit, that is what America's promises is to us as a Sikh community. There is nothing holding us back about being a Sikh. Not only that, but the values that our gurus teach us are values that are not only consistent with our pride in being Americans, but they have given me the strength to be who I am as an honest and dedicated public servant. But when I ran for mayor, the same chatter came about. They called me unelectable because I was a Sikh. They said this is an Italian city. Mayor Bhalla is he's a good man. He's a good man, but Hoboken is not ready for a mayor who's the highest elected official in the city, to have a mayor who wears a turban and beard. That's what they told me. And look here now, 6 years later, I'm sitting here before you as the two-term mayor of the city of Hoboken, having won election twice. Not only that, but when we ran for re-election in 2021, I started out as being called unelectable. When I ran for re-election in 2021, I thought just the month before in 2020, let me try to raise as much money to go into the election in a strong financial position. Because in elections, you need to have a good candidate, but you also need to have the financial strength to get your vote out and to get your message across. So I raised about $100,000 in the month of December. In January, both of the candidates who were running against me dropped out of the race. And I actually ran unopposed in my second term for mayor. And the reason why that's significant is because Hoboken, the politics there, it's a blood sport. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to have very thick skin to run for office in Hoboken. Everybody runs. But I was actually the first mayor in the history of Hoboken to run for re-election unopposed. So I went from unelectable to unopposed. And again, I submit to you, this is the promise that we have in this country. There's nothing special about me that I did anything out of the ordinary. It's the simple, basic Sikh values that I grew up with that brought me to where I am. To be a public servant, to be authentic, to be honest, to work hard, and to serve the community. This is the very simple recipe for success, and you can do it, and you can do it while being a proud American and being a proud Sikh. So this is really the message I want to, in closing, bring to you. I'm running for Congress because We've had a drought as a Sikh community. 60 years. The last Sikh congressman was Dalip Singh Song, who was a congressman from California who served until 1966. We've had this many years, 60 years, with no representation at the federal level. The federal level where we can have representation not just for the 8th Congressional District in New Jersey, but for the entire country, where any Sikh child can look and watch TV and see a Sikh who's successful and be proud. And in closing, let me just give you an example of what that means. As I said, I live in Hoboken. It's 1 square mile. It's called the Mile Square City. We're a city of 64,000 residents. We're the 3rd most densely populated city. But in Hoboken, everybody knows the mayor. The mayor is, everybody knows who he or she is. So one day, I have 2 kids, as I said. My younger son, his name is Shabag. And I was walking Shabag to school. As we walk our kids to and from school every day. And he's a young boy with a butka, and we were walking to school. And coming the other way was another mother and daughter, and the mother was walking her daughter to school. She was probably about 6 or 7 years old. And think about this in the context of our journey. In the 80s, I was called Saddam Hussein, or in the 70s I was called Ayatollah. 80s Saddam Hussein. After 9/11, it was like Bin Laden or terrorist. But as I'm walking on this day a couple of years ago with my son Shabag, this little girl stops and she looks at the star. She looks at my image, and she says, "Mommy, look." And she points at my head. And her mother says, "What? What, honey? What are you looking at?" And she says, with a smile on her face, she says, "Mommy, look, it's the government." And just think about that for a moment. After we've been called all these names and the perception of Sikhs in one city, 1 square mile, they see a Sikh and the image of a Sikh, and they associate that image with something positive, with something that's legitimate, with authority. And think about the possibility. If we can do this in 1 square mile, in one small city in Hoboken, if we can bring that to the level of Congress, if we can bring that to the national level, think about how this can affect our kids. Think about how this can affect the next generation. Think about how beneficial it can be to kids who are mistreated in schools, kids who are bullied in schools. Now they have a positive image of a Sikh that's known not just to Sikhs, but the entire country. So that's what this election is about. It's not about me, it's about us. It's about you. It's about your future. It's about our future. And I've come here to Charlotte really to seek your blessing and to seek your support, because this is a journey of our history as Sikhs in America. With Guruji's grace, I will work hard. I hope to make you proud to be the next Sikh congressman in the United States. But I hope that sets a foundation for the next generation to hopefully maybe have a Sikh in the White House one day. Because that is there. The sky is the limit in this country. We can do anything if we put our mind to it. And the biggest asset we have is the Guruji's lessons that we've learned from the Guruji. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.